Billionaire Monday. Hustle hard. It's about that time to get going. Remember, we say you are supposed to be provoked, inspired, and equipped. That's if you want to be a part of this amazing group of people who follow this amazing program called Hustle Hard. And I've always said, if you hang around with George Billionaire, there's something about you that's going to be transformed. Now, wherever you're watching this from, make sure you click subscribe. You click the notification bell to see all the videos that we bring up, whether they are Hustle Hard, whether they are School Run Diaries, whether whatever videos we put on. And follow George Billionaire on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. Now, success. Are people born successful? What is it that defines success? Is it a born right for you just to grow up and say, I'm going to be a success? Or there's certain things you need to do in order for you to become successful? And today on the show, we're going to be talking about just that. Others say others are born leaders, or leaders are created. Others were destined to be great and succeed. But otherwise, others just become, some call it lucky. But in this life, there's nothing called the luck at all. Every single thing that happens because one chose that specific path and purpose. And that's how they realize their full God-ordained potential. So tune in, stay locked, and let's go through to the studio with none other than the one and only PK Becky Cam, and watch your life be transformed. Don't just be a hearer of what George Billionaire is always saying. George is always trying to bring the best out of you. George is futuristically speaking to people to tell them not to rely on one stream of income. And I know that appeals to you, especially you watching this who's just relying on that one stream. But there's another side to life. And today we're going to be talking about success hacks and what you too can do in order for you to be successful. Remember, if you do what other people don't do, you will have what other people don't have. And that's the greatest secret in getting ahead. Let's go.
You heard right. You are not tuned into the wrong station. You're tuned into the right station at the right time. It's time for Hustle Hard with George Billionaire, and we're talking all things success on Hustle Hard. And the question is, does success come because of birthright? Is success a birthright thing, or is it something that you have to strategize and work hard for? So some of the messages that were coming through were basing it on background. And it was like, hey, if I come from a rich family, why am I working hard? And then some were saying, hey, for some of us who don't come from money, you really need to then strategize and work hard towards the success that you want, because success looks different for everybody. Holla, holla, George.
Holla, holla.
How's it going?
It's your boy, George Billionaire.
In the building.
In the building with none other than the one and only Becky K, internationally known.
On the microphone.
On the microphone.
Yes.
And it's good to be back. Big shout out to all the pulsers.
Yeah.
We're coming from an amazing long holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to be refreshed. It's good to be back at work.
Absolutely.
And what I love about this show, as always, we are going to provoke you. We're going to inspire you. And most importantly, we're going to equip you.
Yeah, because what's the point after provoking and inspiring? Equip the people to do the thing.
That's right. And the word you just said, to do the things, is the most important thing. After you've heard us for so many years on this program, your life must have changed somehow.
Yeah.
And I say this not only to myself, to my amazing G's at home, but I say this to people everywhere, that success begins in your mind. And I love Shokurangwari Bible no varasimbisa kuti be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful, you must be ye transformed. You must not be conformed to this world and not rely on what you grew up knowing, but always constantly update your mental software. Because wakasa zona usiri successful, you will never become that.
Yeah.
If you do not do the things we're going to be talking about today regarding success, you will never see it, taste it, touch it, or feel it. and realize what success truly is.
Well, we want to get straight into the talk. There's a book that I brought into studio, and I did this because this lady has sat under your tutorship, from your mentorship classes. I've attended some of her events, and I see the woman that she has become and the woman that she is, and she doesn't stop here.
Yeah.
Like, she will host an event, say this weekend, she will rest for like 2 weeks, and then she's onto something new. Recently, she was in Dubai with the She Millionaire event that she hosted in Dubai. She actually had like locals speaking at her event, and I was like, that's like some real stuff right there.
What we're talking about.
So I grabbed her book. I've been reading her book here and there, and I was like, hey, let's hear from George's perspective about this, because she writes about success in this way. She says, in overcoming the special mentality, I had long harbored the notion that I was inherently more special than others, believing success was a birthright rather than a result of strategy and hard work. Escaping the status trap demanded a departure from this mindset, armed me with correct information. I set out to strategically navigate the hurdles on my journey to the next level. Now, she based this on her background. Maybe she grew up pretty, the family was doing well, and she felt like, me, no one, there's none like me, and untouchable. And then she just realized that, oh, okay, I know I'm special, but I need to somewhat get rid of this special mentality and put hands to the plow and actually get the things that I say I want to get. So how do people then often misunderstand or misdefine success? Because they're always equating it to mine.
Yeah. So, George Billionaire defines success as this. Success is accomplishing two words. For me, it's called financial freedom. Okay. Right? That's success. Financial freedom.
Right.
So anybody who in life becomes financially well off, and they have what is called freedom, which is excess time.
Right.
They've accomplished something simply called success.
Okay.
Now, there are other people who say, I want to be a successful athlete. Success is accomplishment of one's personal goal and intent on a set target or objective. That's my definition.
Right.
But when it comes to majority of people, when they are deemed successful, finance plays a role in it, especially if you're in business, where you reach a certain level where you have now become dependent on not knowing, how you're going to cover some of the basic needs you have in life. And you now have freedom. You can decide to do what you want when you want, because you've reached a certain level of success. What I've seen with many people I've studied, locally and abroad,
right,
is that you'll see dad and mom are very successful, financially free, and the children feel obligated to this success that the parents have. And for me, who grew up in a family where my dad had an 8 to 5, my mom had an 8 to 5, you find that people who grew up without seem to have a greater hunger to go after what they never had or experienced growing up. And I've seen many, some locally here in Zimbabwe. You find the parents are well off, great businesses. But I tell you, and we've had this very thought-provoking conversation, if dad and mom, who are very great and successful, drop down today and are gone, what's going to happen to the legacy of the business that was once deemed successful if the ones who are being left with the success don't know how to manage or run these enterprises? And this is what has been one of the greatest challenges with Africans specifically, because as Africans, especially as we start up as sole traders, then we become entrepreneurs, and then most of the black-owned African businesses die as soon as the owner dies. And I think we've seen that here locally in Zimbabwe. Growing up, I used to know so many bus companies. Growing up, I used to know people in Glenora who had tuck shops. Growing up, I used to know people who used to run businesses, but soon, and at that time, they were deemed successful They were deemed, wow, they're making it. It's going on well. But what they lacked, which is one thing that many people listening today should do, is they lacked what is called structure. And anything that is deemed to be successful has structure. Structure is being able to operate the business without the owner or the founder being presently there to make decisions in order to run a business. You'll find there are businesses up until today which, to buy petty cash, petty things in the office,
Right.
stationery, they need to be signed by the boss. And if the boss is not there, it's a challenge to get that going. And businesses come with stages as you grow.
Right.
But in order for you to have something that lives long after you as the owner, you need to really invest in structure and constantly educating yourself in how to run not just an SME anymore if you've been in business 10 plus years, but now to begin to look at how to run an organization. So for me, from the experience I've had with the various seasoned businessmen here, the greatest challenge when it comes to their success, which I saw with the question that was asked, some people think they came from money and they think money is always going to be there. Money without somebody who knows what to do with it to continue making it can quickly catch wings and fly away like a bird and go. And the very perfect example of that we recall in the Bible, there's a story of the prodigal son,
Right.
who thought, Mdara, I'm of age. Give me what
Give me
is
my
mine.
stuff.
Give me what's mine. And there are many people out there who have that right to do that. To say, pops, moms, give me my share. Give me money to start. But money without information and strategy will quickly be dwindled away.
So Birthright then just gets cancelled. Yes, you were born into the money. This inheritance was left for you, but if you don't know what to do with it, it can just quickly go
That's
away.
it. And
you can
then
lose it.
I love the story in the Bible of the prodigal son because it really gives a practical example of what majority of people deem. And people think if they get a bank loan to start a business, they think their life is set. They think if their rich uncle gives them this, they think if their father dies today and they are left with all the investments and the money, they think they will make it. But you will very much quickly realize that with that money, you are only a consumer.
Yeah.
You are only consuming. You're not creating something that's going to give you money. And that is where the success of your forefathers will soon be forgotten because of your lack of management, of understanding how to handle and create more money from the money that was left with you.
All right. And at what point does things like luck come into play? Like luck and timing. And you know like how when you just try out something and then boom, you hit a gold mine. How often does that happen? Is it still happening?
So for me, the word you just mentioned, which I don't like to say ever in my life, that word does not exist in my vocabulary.
What, luck?
And people who say I was that word,
Yes.
I don't believe in that.
You don't even say it.
No, I don't.
Come on, George, just say
For
say
me,
luck.
I'm not going to say such.
Iraqi, all right.
Yeah.
Iraqi.
Yeah. And there's nothing called
That.
that.
Okay.
That word does not exist because in life things happen to those who want things to happen.
Okay.
So in life you never get what you don't want. And to people who say, it just happened, Nakangochi Juma. There's no way you run 100-meter race and you say, I just won because it was just my day. No. Everything that happens in life happens predetermined. Right? And people who say there are people who became successful just by that word. There's nothing like that, because what happens with success loves people who are constantly prepared at all times. If you're an individual who is always thinking that things just happen just like that, you're never going to reach a certain level of success. So there are people who see others winning tenders, others submitting quotations for jobs, others working harder than everybody else. And then you can boldly say, I think that guy, that lady, just has something that makes her get those things. But remember, that specific individual is doing something deliberately that other people are not doing, which is why they are getting the results others don't. Now, we have a competition that happens every year from a supermarket here. Right? And you buy in that supermarket and you get tokens. But do you know, the more you buy, the most likely chance you win.
Yes.
You can't just say, it was just picked, because it's probability. And that's the same thing with life. If you keep doing something consistently, I love it. In the Bible, it says, scatter many seeds, because you do not know which one. But then many people will say, akaromba, there must be something about him. He must be doing something. And they'll always blame something else when you don't see that this person is actually working harder than everybody else. But we are so quick, because we are lazy. We want to now blame, no, he must be using juju to acquire this wealth. How is it that he is the only one in the family who is getting these contracts, getting this money? But it's simple, because this person has understood that in life, you miss 99. I love that quote by Michael Jordan. And you miss 99% of the shots you don't take. Saka, in life, if you don't shoot, if you don't try, you'll never know whether it was going to go in or not. But to he who is trying more than others, there's a probability that he will score a goal. You know, I love soccer very much, and we're not going to get into that due to our time, right? But
you'll never walk alone.
Yeah, you will. But anyway, you know, I love soccer very much, and I love Cristiano Ronaldo. And if you look at the stats of the attempted shots he has per game, you should not be surprised by
attempted shots.
Yes, sometimes to go over a bar. Sometimes they'll say, but if you look at it, when he hits it and he gets it in, it was a sum total result of attempts tried. And that's the basic thing with success in life. You only get in life what you keep trying to. And you know, with successful people, they failed the first business. They didn't give up. They kept trying until they reached a place where they then became successful. So to people who are out there, success is defined by your sheer determination on not giving up and keeping on going. But as long as you're an individual who is going to throw in the towel, who is going to think, I was born in a rich family. You know, one of my mentors said, if you are born out of a poor family, a rich one must come out of you, because you personally tasted poverty. Don't let it continue after you. If you grew up in a poor family, just like majority of the greats here in Zimbabwe, if you look at, you know, I could mention the names of all great successful entrepreneurs in the country. If you look at their history, they actually do not grow up that side of town.
Right.
Because that side of town was deemed untouchable, you know. They only maybe went to schools that side of town, but they had to go back to the high density suburbs.
Right.
But because of the exposure, because they said, wait a minute, if those guys, Joe Block and all those other rich people across town made it, surely I can do it too. And it began with an ambition and a belief. To say, you know what, if they can do it, so can I. And this is why we say to people that success begins, it begins with you. It's not what people, the economy, it's not what politics tells you, but it begins with you saying, you know what, if I can do it, surely all those who've done it before me, it proves that I can do it. Because if they, you know, you talk about Dr. Mandy, and if you hear her upbringing and her story, imagine going to be supported so much in a foreign country because she has a vision. And she'll tell you that the first time she did it, it wasn't successful. It wasn't successful. But to her, if 3 people came, it's a success. To her.
So it depends on what you are defining as success. Like,
That's
okay,
it.
I've started this thing. If I can just get it off the ground, if I get 2 clients, then for me that's success. Although in the eyes of other people, I'm going to my client to do it.
You know, I'll tell you about ministers of the Word of God. If you ask all prophets in the country, all pastors, T.D. Jakes, Pastor Chris, all of them, when they began ministering to two congregants, for people to actually sit and listen to them, the two of them, I'm telling you, they personally thought, you know what, at least two people came, right? And then it grew. And that's the thing with life as it happens. Because you only get from glory to glory. You always get better. This is why in life you don't compete against anybody. Becky, my race in life is different from yours. My ambition of success is different from yours. I want to become a billionaire. This is me. Becky, you have a different vision from me. You want to become something else.
Absolutely.
I tell you, Mother Teresa's ambition was to become the well-known philanthropist of all time. So success differs depending on the individual and what you want to achieve. But as long as you are making steady progress in the thing that you set out to achieve, you are definitely becoming great and successful in that thing. So let us not be swayed left or right by comparing that, you know, this person hasn't reached this. You need to be different from what you were yesterday, today. And I've said this to many people. If you look at your life today, and you see yourself last year, you are still at the same place that you were and nothing has changed, you are definitely doomed and heading to a place called poverty, and nothing is going to grow in your life because there's nothing changing other than your age. You have to be progressing. Age is not an achievement.
Come on.
The greatest achievement in life is doing something different than what you were doing before and actually impacting people's lives, bringing in a product, a service, becoming known for something. And that's the greatest, you know, when God gave us a life, Becky, he knew that you are a winner. I'm a winner, right? He knew that Becky is going to change the airwaves. She's going to be internationally known. Whenever she holds what is called a microphone, the people will listen differently because she's anointed, she's got favor, she's got this, right?
Right.
But when you now want to compare yourself to me and you want to be a fish, where I am not a fish, I am an animal which walks on the ground, we now then kill the vision that God had ordained for us.
There's actually a phrase for that where they say, don't compare the ability of a fish
on climbing a tree.
Put it in water.
And see
what the fish
see it
do.
flourishing in its forte. And this is where we lose it as people, because success is defined by what you, like I said at the beginning, want to achieve and accomplish. But because of our modern day and age, we are so much wanting to see the other person. And now we are killing our drive, because remember, success is a process of hard work, resilience, determination, consistency, hard work, right? But what is it, Becky, that when people see you, people can say, hey, when we see Becky K, when we see George Billionaire, we see this. But your lack of identity in oneself has caused many people now to not even know their purpose and mandate on this planet. In Varungorarama nje, they think they were only made to just go to work 8 to 5 and never know what success is, because they've been clouded by this thing. And you know, the word of God says, my people perish because of
lack of knowledge.
And the enemy comes to do what?
Kill, steal, and destroy.
And people's lives are being killed by you not knowing what you want to do. They are being destroyed because you are supposed to be a flower that yields fruit that's going to be beneficial not only in your generation, but to be a blessing to many generations. But the moment you go, you're gone. Nothing else is going to remain behind, because you did not fulfill your personal mandate, because the time you lived on earth, you thought the 8 to 5 was your, core mandate and purpose. But as for me, Becky, one thing I've said that, and this is why every time I come here, mine is to tell people that once upon a time, I used to be like you listening today. I used to think that 8 to 5 entrepreneurship is for other people. Starting a side hustle is just for those people. I'm okay. But I tell you, this other side that I am now, there's so much light. There's so much freedom. And this only happens when you do that thing that I said. When you do what others are not doing. And I began to hang around with other successful people, which is a call to you. Do a personal core audit of your circle of friends. Which one in your circle of friends is successful? Not the highest paid at work. Is successful. Have a friend who is an entrepreneur, who is doing what you are not doing. If you only have friends who are going to work, you need to change up a little bit. Spend more time with those who are doing something, who are deemed successful. They will do something to you. And that is what caused me to begin my journey in entrepreneurship and start this institution called Pro Air. And now, had I not started, Becky, imagine, had I not started Pro Air, how many people would I have not have served? How many people have now known the brand,
20.
have known our service? How many people have now experienced what we do? And imagine, had George just gone and not started anything, it would just be George Agakurra Glenora where he worked somewhere and he lived a great life. But at least now, in history, there's a guy, went to this school, he grew up here, he started an organization called Pro Air, he changed the air conditioning sector in the world, and he's known for this, that, and the other. So the call is to people, what are you going to be remembered for? That you want Kutihesh, I want to be successfully known as this person who did this. Because that is the core mandate and purpose why we are existing today. What are you going to be known for?
What are you going to be known for? 6 minutes to 1 o'clock. We're about to wrap it up on Hustle Hard. But something big and green is coming, and it's guaranteed to put a smile on your face on the 30th of April. Stay tuned for the big reveal on all platforms. Now, George, when you were talking, I was picturing someone who has hit the jackpot. Is that the same as like? I must stop using it. Okay, fine. Anzi Rakira Ramba wena. He's very correct. I wonder working behind the scenes, Kunzo. So by the time they hit the big time, it's because they've put in the work in the background, and it will look like luck. But hey, I've been putting in the work, and now it's showing. I'm loving today's conversation. This topic is on point. Then another one, I'm loving this conversation topic. This is my Matipa. Gezani Bruce Padomboshava is tuned in, loving the topic as well. What's your take on being humble once I've become successful? Now, do I boast? Do I let you all know that I've made it?
I've said this before.
I must sit down on this journey.
I've said this before, that before a great fall, there's a word called pride. Being pompous, thinking you have arrived, and everybody must notice you when you arrive. I've been told by, Dr. Stephen Magolis, an amazing man who has mentored me and given me life nuggets in business, which is my core seriously to people, that wherever you're getting information from, it really is going to define who you're going to become in regards being successful. And he, out of so many people, have edified me so many times. He says that real money does not make noise. Real money does not want to be known, seen, or even heard. They remain discreet, quiet. I love it in Proverbs. It says, be so humble, you go and sit at the back. When people see you seated at the back, they will say, no, please, come and sit at the front. Then you, thinking you are so big in your own head, you go sit in the front. Then you are told, say, these seats are reserved, go to the back. And that is very embarrassing. So, to me, people who are proud are definitely destined for a great fall soon, because we know so many examples of that. Pride comes before a downfall. Kanawaita mari, there's a certain composure, and you can tell new money, you can tell that, in the clubs, it wants to show, it wants to be wherever they go.
You'll find new money in the clubs.
You see, but when you reach a certain level of wealth, you become content. You're not worried about what you wear, what you drive, and ultimately you become a person of wisdom. So I'll say, pride comes before a downfall. When you get money, people should not know. The greatest secret when you make money is you don't talk about it. You act ordinary, like nothing happened. That's what happens when you reach a certain level of wealth and success.
All right. I don't know if you'll be able to answer these last two. I'll ask both of them and you can dissect them the way you want. We've got 3 minutes left. So the first one is, what life adjustments can one make in order to reach their success goals? And the other one is, if it's easy, does it mean I'm doing something wrong? Does it have to be hard?
Yeah. So the best thing I would say to people, your association. I cannot emphasize that. I mean, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, when he came here and he deliberately associated with people who have same ambitions, goals, and mindset that he has. So if ever you're going to become successful, simple key to you is hang around with similar-minded people, people who have done what you haven't done, people who have been places you haven't, people who have reached a certain level of wealth that you haven't. And the second question, Kwandiri, if anything is easy, this is why the bottom is overcrowded, because people like easy things. But to those who like challenges, climbing the mountain, that's why at the top of the mountain, you don't see a lot of people up there.
Yeah.
Majority of the people are saying, why go all the way up there for what? And that's the reason what's going to cause so many people to remain in a place called the comfort zone, the average zone, the just over broke zone, because they don't want to do what everybody else is doing who's up at the top of the mountain. So the climb is hard, definitely, but the view at the top of the mountain, when you climb, after that hard climb, you will be able to see things that people at the bottom will never see. And that is a true definition of success, going through the hard route and achieving what others have not achieved.
Well, George, thank you so much for coming through for this week's edition of Hustle Hard. We're talking all things success. Is it a birthright, or do you have to work hard and strategize for it? Well, if it's a birthright, you still have to work for it to keep it and multiply it. And if you don't come from money, put your hand to the plow and work.